Real fake news. Welcome to the Real Fake News. I'm your host, Jesse Bertel. Today I'm going to discuss the mainstream and alternative media coverage of voter suppression during the 2016 Arizona presidential primary in a segment I like to call Real Fake News. Let's play Real Fake News. In real news, last week Bernie Sanders crushed Hillary Clinton in 5 out of 6 states, or as CNN put it, frontrunners score key Western victories. The media declared Clinton the winner of Arizona, based mostly on mail-in ballots. Meanwhile, thousands of voters were still waiting in long lines to cast their ballot. USA Today was on the scene.
It's absolutely deplorable in the fact that you have to wait out on the street to get into the parking lot. And then you walk in here and you take a look around and you've got maybe 500-600 people standing out here in the sun.
The sheer number of people. It's the fact that there's a very limited number of places to vote. And when you've only got 3 or 4 choices in the East Valley, everybody's got to go somewhere. Figure 2 hours from the time getting in line to getting out of here, and then you have to get out of the parking lot.
I think they could have done a much better job with this election, knowing how contentious it's getting, and with all the problems they've had at all the polling places. Regardless of your political party, it doesn't seem to matter. Everybody should have the right to vote how they want and not have to be so standing out in the sun on a hot day to get it done. I think they could have done a better job.
It's madness. I'm wondering how many people are just pulling in and turning around and not voting.
Apparently, all these people were so excited to vote for Hillary Clinton that they swarmed the polling places. Hillary's just so popular. Oh my God! Let's play again. In fake news, with the news media reporting victory for Clinton, while thousands of people were still waiting in line past midnight, many people are asking, what caused this voting chaos in Arizona? Could this be an example of voter suppression? The Nation reported that there were 5-hour lines to vote in Arizona because the Supreme Court gutted the Voting Rights Act. Is it possible that legislation is purposely marginalizing voters and candidates? What about the news media? Last year I spoke with Ralph Nader about how the media ignores whoever they deem unworthy of coverage. Here's an exclusive clip from my documentary film, Left Out, Beyond the Two-Party Horse Race.
Because we have a winner-take-all system and we don't have instant runoff voting, if you don't make it through on the first try, if the seed doesn't become an oak tree on the first try, they say, look, why should we cover you? The whole issue is totally absurd. The media bears a serious responsibility here. I went down to meet with the editor of the Washington Post in 2008 when I was running for president, and I said, Fred, his name is Fred Hyatt, I said, Fred, why aren't you covering me? I've been around here for over 40 years. I have a record of victorious support of legislation. We've put out all kinds of groundbreaking reports. I didn't come down here on a UFO. Look, we're not talking about an investigation into extraterrestrial space here. Why aren't you covering me? And he said, well, you want to know why, Ralph? Because you can't win. And I said to him, well, Fred, why are you covering the Washington Nationals baseball team? They're in the cellar.
Did Bernie come from a UFO? Let's play again. In real news, the direct cause for long lines in Phoenix, Arizona, came down to the fact that there were only 60 polling places in the state's largest county. This was cut down from 200 in the 2012 primary, which was already a drop from the 400 polling places they had in 2008. Fox News gave Maricopa County Recorder a chance to explain to concerned voters how this is in no way an example of voter suppression.
So, just to start, obviously you've heard of all of the frustration. Who's to blame for these long lines?
Well, the voters for getting in line.
Oops! Did you want to vote today? Once she realized and admitted she made a mistake, she immediately accepted the blame.
I take full responsibility for what happened yesterday.
I made an error. In judgment in planning this election, I should have had more polling places.
Obviously, she's going to resign. Problem solved.
There are calls for a Justice Department investigation and talk of lawsuits.
We haven't seen the end of this.
As for Purcell, she says she won't step down willingly.
Of course not. She takes full responsibility, just not if it involves stepping down. Let's play again. In fake news, U.S. Uncut reports in its 5 examples of voter suppression in the Arizona primary. Number 3, according to Yavapai County election worker Kelly Thornton, roughly 2/3 of registered Democrats were mistakenly identified by election software as independent. Now that couldn't happen unless there was something wrong with the election software. Here's a clip from the HBO documentary Hacking Democracy, which investigated fraud in election software.
Back in 2000, Al Gore lost the presidential election in Florida amongst the chaos and arguments over how to recount the votes. But no one thought to ask how the computers originally counted the results. As dusk fell on election night, one official noticed something very strange, a sign that the heart of America's democracy was in danger. In Volusia County, Florida, an election computer counted Al Gore's totals backwards. He had negative votes.
It was showing a minus sign in front of the votes that it had subtracted from Gore. I mean, it wasn't like it was trying to hide it. It says there's minus 16,022 votes here.
How could a computer that is supposed to protect the votes of you and me count backwards to give a candidate negative votes? Either it was an error, or someone had tried to rig the election.
What do they know? It's HBO. That's not real news. It's fake news. Let's play one more time. In real news, the Arizona primary last Tuesday is a great example of how this election is flawed. Not just for Democrats. On the Republican side, Marco Rubio's ghost beat John Kasich. Don't worry, Rubio didn't die. He just dropped out, and people love him so much they can't stop voting for him. And while Republicans are confused by how the process works, Democrats are demanding action. CNN reports that Arizona Democrats are calling for a probe into voter suppression claims. How deep do you think they're going to probe? So who's really to blame? I don't think she should go to jail, but she should probably lose her job. And was she just acting alone, as the news media would have us believe? This goes beyond distributing blame. This is about getting democracy right and having an election process that people can feel confident in. We don't need a recount. We need a re-vote. We need legislation that works to ease the voting process, not make it more difficult. If the news media did their job, they wouldn't have called the election while thousands of people were still waiting in line. It's the duty of journalists to report the news, not to manufacture the news. And that's the real fake news. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe to the channel.
Real fake news.